What's up? This is Treadmill Review Guru. I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to clean a treadmill. I've got the NordicTrack 2450 here with me, but these tips and tricks will work with most home treadmills. However, be sure that you have your user manual on hand. If you've misplaced it, you can try to search online. Most are available as PDFs nowadays, but you always want to consult that manual before you take any of these steps, just to make sure that it's recommended by your treadmill's manufacturer. So I have learned a lot of cleaning tips and tricks from reviewing treadmills and also from working in gyms and cleaning tons of fitness equipment. But these are definitely tricks that you can use at home with things that you already have on hand. And the importance of cleaning your treadmill comes down to how long you want your treadmill to last. By getting rid of any buildup from sweat and dirt, you can ensure that your motor doesn't burn out and that your treadmill lasts for much longer. So without further ado, let's get into how to clean a treadmill. All right, so let's get into the daily steps that you can do to keep your treadmill running smoothly. Now, if you're not exercising on your treadmill every single day, your clean frequency might be less frequent, and that's okay. Just any time that you're using the treadmill, even if you do a morning and afternoon workout, you can do these cleaning tips both in the morning and in the afternoon. All right, so the first thing that I would want to do is get a microfiber towel if I have one. I like using a microfiber towel because you don't have to use any harsh chemical cleaner. So if you're not sure if a cleaner is going to be appropriate for your machine or if it might damage your machine, going without any cleaner is always a good way to go. You can also just lightly dampen it if you would like, or try a treadmill safe cleaner like Pure Green 24 here. We also have gym wipes, antibacterial wipes that you can get both of these products on Amazon. So just going to wipe down all of the heavy use spots on this treadmill. So places like the screen. And when it comes to the electronics, you want to make sure that you're not using anything but electronics cleaner on the screen or console. You don't want to be using glass cleaner. And then any other areas that will see sweat, so console buttons, handrails. But then also you can look along the edges of the foot rails and the motor hood, even along the uprights here, because those sometimes are exposed metal. Even if they have a nice powder coating on them, it can wear off over time. So keeping it nice and clean will prevent any rust. And that's just a quick and easy trick that you can do to keep your treadmill a bit cleaner day to day. If you do use a spray cleaner, do not spray directly onto the treadmill or other fitness equipment. Spray it into the cloth, the paper towel, whatever you're using, not directly onto the machine. And then a pro tip that a lot of people like to use to keep their treadmill even cleaner, especially if you're concerned about dirt getting into the belt, make sure that you use indoor only shoes. So you might have one pair of shoes just for treadmill running or walking, and then you have separate shoes for when you're outside. That's not mandatory. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy another pair of shoes, but I know a lot of people like to have an extra pair of shoes in their rotation, and that's a great way to keep your treadmill clean. All right, so let's get into what you want to do for weekly maintenance on your treadmill. So if you have been keeping up with your daily cleaning after every workout, then you're probably not going to have as much to do. If you're going a little bit longer without doing any maintenance or cleaning, it's probably going to take a little bit more work. But the biggest difference, once you've had your treadmill all wiped down like you normally would, is that you're going to break out your vacuum. Now, the main places that you're going to want to vacuum are just around your treadmill, but then also underneath if you have a folding treadmill. So you lift the deck up, then make sure you get all of the dirt out from under here. If you see any debris clinging to the treadmill, you can vacuum that off as well. Another thing you can do is actually plug your treadmill back in and run the belt on a very slow speed, and you can vacuum the treadmill surface itself. So with the belt moving, you're just gonna sweep one of your vacuum attachments over it. That way, if you have any dirt or dust that's collected there, you can get it off of the belt, and that will prevent it from going into the motor. So if you've only been using a microfiber towel or a paper towel to wipe down your treadmill, this is when you might want to use a spray cleaner. However, again, do not spray it directly onto the treadmill, and be sure to steer clear of ammonia-based cleaners. All right, so now we're on to your monthly cleaning and maintenance routine. This is probably the time that you're gonna be doing some more heavy duty cleaning as well as a few maintenance steps. If you're using the treadmill a lot, it might be time to re-lubricate the treadmill deck. It just depends on how often you're using this. So while this is recommended for you monthly, it may be every other month or every 3 months. It just depends. Okay, so the first step that I was gonna have you do is after you've done all of the steps of wiping the treadmill down and then vacuuming around it and underneath it, if it's a folding treadmill, you're going to take off the motor hood. So typically these are fixed into place with screws, and then you can just unscrew them, slide that motor hood off. Be careful because sometimes there are little plastic pieces that are keeping them attached, so you just wanna slide it off so you don't break anything. And then you can actually access the motor and all of those other electrical parts themselves. So vacuum out around those. Be careful not to disturb any of the components there, but this is a great time to get any dust and debris that might have got sucked in there by the belt out of there so your motor doesn't burn out. Then afterwards, you're going to replace the motor hood, tighten those screws back. Then you can also do a check for all of the bolts and screws on your treadmill. This is always a good idea, especially if you're starting to hear any creaking or strange sounds coming from your treadmill. Making sure that those are tightened and so that your treadmill is not going to fall apart. It's always a good, safe maintenance thing to do. So then we can actually do a deeper clean of the belt itself if we would like. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. So I've got the treadmill on. That previous step, if you're cleaning the motor, you want to make sure the treadmill is off and unplugged, but this one you want to have the treadmill on, set to a slow speed. And then I'm going to grab a mop. Now, I don't have any product on this mop actually, but if you did actually have some water and some cleaner on here, you want to be sure that it's not dripping. Like if you're holding it over the treadmill, you don't want to see any liquid coming off of it. You just want to have it damp enough so that when you start to clean the deck, so just by applying a little bit of pressure there, and then moving it over, that you're getting some of the product, some of the cleaner on the belt, but not too much because we don't want it to get into the motor. And that is a great way to clean the belt itself. If you are finding that there is a lot of buildup on it, it might not be necessary for all users. It just kind of depends on what your personal needs are. If you're finding that it's getting really sticky from sweat, it's a great step to do. And then you can also take a paper towel and then dry it off, or other cloth just to dry it once it's done. But you want to be sure you don't get any cleaner, any debris underneath the motor hood. Now, we can stop our treadmill and unplug it. And then this next step is if you're going to be lubricating the deck, or if you just find that it really needs to be cleaned underneath the belt. So what you would do first is loosen the bolts at either end of the deck there. And if you don't want to do that, if your belt is already kind of loose, you can kind of get away with that. And you also sometimes can find tools, little wands that will easily slide under the belt to give you a little bit better reach. But then you can just lift up the belt, reach under there, and clean up any dust or debris. Now, once you've kind of mopped all of that up, you will find that you're going to have to re-lubricate the deck because you've cleaned all of that dust, all of that dirt, but you've also mopped up all of that lubricant, so it's a great time to reapply that. Check out our How to Lubricate Your Treadmill post and video if you have any questions on that. It will work for most treadmill models. All right, so that is it for our How to Clean a Treadmill video. Be sure to consult your product manual if you have any questions or concerns. For instance, some treadmills come pre-waxed or pre-lubricated, so you may not have the same steps to lubricating your treadmill. Some cleaners may not be appropriate for all treadmills, so just be sure to consult the manufacturer if you're in doubt at all. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. This is Treadmill Review Guru. I'm Kaylee. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.